Who first told you to cover up? What if the truth is being bare in nature isn't shameful at all? It's healing, it reconnects you to your body and to the natural world. Welcome back to Hiking Without a Stitch. Get naked, be free, and be kind. I'll share my journey into naturism, stories from the trail, and conversations with others who have found freedom in the open air. Hey everyone, welcome back to Hiking Without a Stitch. Today's episode is a special one. I'm sitting down with my mom and we talk about the moment she found out I liked being naked, how she kind of processed it, and how she eventually came around to the idea. It's honest, it's funny at times, and I think it really is helpful for anyone who has a family member exploring naturism or body freedom but isn't quite sure how to handle it. So whether you're one who's curious or the one who's trying to understand it, this one's for both of you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Just a quick note, this was actually the very first episode I ever recorded, so this audio is a little bit soft because the mic I was using at the time, I've since upgraded that, so I appreciate your guys' patience. The sound might not be perfect, but the conversation and message are totally worth the listen. Enjoy. And this is actually my first test episode. And it's very special because it is with my mom, Kay, and I'm going to be interviewing her about kind of from her perspective as a family member finding out about someone who has gotten into naturism later in life and what that was like for her. So, thank you, Mom, for being on my podcast.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
And it's interesting events because you're going to be leaving tomorrow.
Yep.
To go on another adventure across, kind of explain what you guys do.
My husband, Alan, and I, we travel in an RV. We've been traveling for the last 5 years and living out of a RV fifth wheel trailer full time. And so we've spent the winter down here in Tucson, and now that it's getting warm, my husband doesn't like it when it gets too hot, so we'll head north. We're going to go over to New Mexico and then up through Colorado and Kansas, and then visit family members in Minnesota and spend probably 6 weeks in Spearfish, South Dakota, which is where Alan grew up, and he has family there. And then we'll head over to Washington and see my other son, Nick, and then we'll head south when it starts cooling off up there. So we're kind of have the best of both worlds. I guess you call us snowbirds in a way, although we don't really have a home up north. We just go north when it's hot down here.
You're just homeless snowbirds.
We're nomads.
Homeless snowbirds.
Not homeless. We're home where we park it, I think the saying goes.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
So
and I am not a naturist.
Naturist.
I am
naturist
not a naturist or a nudist.
Nudist?
Nudist.
You are not a
I am
naturist.
not a naturist. This is all new to me, so.
So, speaking of naturism, was that something that you really thought about before being exposed to it through me or before I brought it up?
Absolutely not. I had heard about the upside-down pineapples through you and the swinger clubs, and that was all new to me, too. I knew nothing about that, so I was forewarned about pineapples when we were out traveling in RV parks.
Which naturism and nudism have nothing to do with the pineapple clubs.
Which I was happy to hear about. I was so glad.
No connection to swingers. Maybe there's nudists and naturists that also are swingers, but the naturist nudist movement, that's like a separate whole thing.
Yeah, this is all totally new to me. And the only thing that probably even came close was I have to admit I am a member of the baby boomer generation. So I grew up in the make love not war generation of the 1960s, but I was on the end of it, kind of the tail end of it. So I was exposed to it, but I was pretty young, and I thought it was kind of weird. I never really got into the whole drug scene of the 1960s. I had older brothers and sisters who were in that, and I kind of just stood back and watched and never really was inclined to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of I guess I had a little bit of an aversion to it. It seemed kind of chaotic to me. So, but that wasn't really naturism. That was a different, but it was kind of a different alternative
free-spirited
lifestyle. Yeah, the whole hippie movement, and but no other before that. No, I knew nothing about naturism or
Did
what it involved or.
growing up, did you ever have an experience with social nudism or anything like that, or tried skinny dipping?
One time when we were in high school, we were out late at a party, and we grew up on the Lake Washington, and a group of us girls, there were probably like 3 or 4 of us, we did go down to the lake and skinny dip, but it was, no big deal. I mean, it was more just, it was fun to do, kind of. It wasn't really intentional. We just didn't have our bathing suits, so we just stripped and went swimming.
So the nudity was just...
It was no big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah, it was no big deal. And then later, when I was older, as an adult living out in North Bend, before I had you guys, I would sunbathe out on my deck because I was out in the country and nobody was around. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I would look up as the little airplanes would fly over the valley and wonder.
Right? Did they just see me?
Yeah, lying here. But I always had a towel handy in case the UPS guy came up the.
Oh, that's
I never
hilarious.
wanted to be, naked in front of anybody. It was just because I was private. I had the privacy, so I would tan nude. Yes.
Yeah. Out the property out that my parents owned in North Bend was 5 acres out by Rattlesnake Lake. Very secluded. Our driveway was really long gravel driveway that went up, and our yard was just nestled up against the hills.
State property. There was nobody around. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a great.
That's what I say. I that's what I loved about it. I could pretty much do whatever I wanted, and nobody cared.
Well, that's like growing up, though. I think of that time because I don't think nudity was like that big. I remember taking showers like with you and Dad.
Yeah.
And like it not being a weird.
It wasn't
you know
a
what
big
I mean?
deal.
It was just like
you didn't even think
was
about
just
it.
Bodies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then at some point, through societal, like, oh, you gotta hide those parts. Those are naughty parts.
Well, yeah.
Or like the church, like the purity culture of don't show your body because you might. Guys, don't take your shirts off because you might tempt the women. Girls, don't wear bikinis because you're gonna cause the men to sin. It's like,
That's weird.
Yeah, it makes it like the messaging of like your body's shameful.
Well, it was interesting just the other day having your friends over when Bill and Judy were here, and they all of a sudden Sage is stripping.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of wondered how that was going to go, and you could just feel the room. It's like, well, Sage,
Yeah.
put your panties on. I mean, it's interesting to kind of feel the change in the
vibration.
Yeah, it's like nobody
shifts.
says anything, but there is an uncomfortable tension that comes up, and it's like she's 3.
Yeah.
It's like let her do her thing. But again, it is society, and we were all kind of raised,
programmed into.
Yeah,
it,
we're definitely programmed. So yeah.
Can you take me back to the first moment you found out how did you find out that I was a naturist, actually?
I think you just came out and told me, or you, I think you said that you had gone down to the Tank Verde and that you were stripping, sitting in the pools down there. And you had taken me on a hike and told me that it was clothing option. We had gone on a hike earlier in the year. And then I think you just said that you and Olivia, or you had gone by yourself. I can't remember. But maybe even that you and Olivia had gone down and that you guys, but no, but I mean, it was just, you were just at the pool. You weren't necessarily hiking, but you had just stripped down there. I was a little bit horrified.
So what was going through your mind? Why were you horrified?
I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction. Like you say, just the programming that we grow up with. You're not even aware of it, but somebody says something that's kind of out of bounds, and even just going on the hike and seeing the clothing optional, it just, I think it's an uncontrollable reaction almost. It's not a conscious reaction. It's a ingrained reaction. Why on earth would you want to, hike nude? It's kind of just, you don't even think about it. It's just that knee jerk reaction. And that is just, you're horrified by the concept of it. And it was, and I think then later that we talked about it after that. And it did bring up a very visceral fear in me. It was like all of a sudden I just kind of went, that just sounds too too scary. It's like I would just be way too exposed, and just the scary part of it, right? It's like the I don't know. It was really bizarre actually. When I went back and thought about it later, it was a pretty negative feeling inside my body, that it was like, no, that's that's not okay. But since then, it's been, the more I've thought about it, you kind of have to process it. And
so what were the things that helped you process that, or as like a family member, what were the moments that you kind of went, oh, okay, it's not as nuts as I initially thought?
Probably I think you sent me some videos of, and a couple, there was that one, it was like a granola bar commercial, and it was like you just started sending me podcasts and people talking, and I think part of it was realizing that it wasn't sexual, and I think that's kind of the first feeling I had, was that it was like, why would I get nude in front of a bunch of strangers or strange men, right? I mean, that's kind of your first ick, right? It's like, ooh. And so then just kind of learning more about it and listening to people talk about it. And actually just listening to some of the women who talked about how they were, basically they hated their bodies, which to me was, I've never really understood that. I've never been exposed to that. So, I mean, you hear people talk about that they are not comfortable in their bodies or their own skin, or they have, they have issues with their, the way they look. And I've never dealt with that. I've never been, I've never, felt like my body looked bad or anything. So it's just kind of been a kind of just listening to other people and realizing that there is a lot of that, and people have to really, really work at liking themselves, I guess. I mean, which is too bad, but I know our society does give us a lot of false clues when it comes to, it's changed. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of movements where people, big is beautiful. And I mean, we've kind of gone through the whole gamut, but the reality is that it's still there, that people still do not like the way they look, and they are uncomfortable with the way and we're always trying to change our bodies, skinnier, or get skinnier, get stronger, get muscular. I mean, we're always like doing this thing that we try to fit in some mold.
The moving goalpost.
Yeah, and it's like we just need to learn how to just be happy. It's like, why don't we just like enjoy where we're at? And I think just listening to people talk about that, kind of all of a sudden I went, oh, okay, this is different than what I initially thought it was. It's a lot different.
So what did you initially think it was?
Kind of the pineapple swinger thing, and people getting naked and hanging out together, and why on earth would you do that or want to do that?
Gotcha, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's part of it, is that we relate so much of naked and nudity to sex that it's, I mean, how could you possibly separate the two, right? And I honestly thought it was like, that's what it was going to be, and I was just not interested in that.
Yeah. No, that's kind of what I thought too. When we moved down here, I Googled, cool hikes near me, and we were living in an apartment down in Tanque Verde. So that trailhead came up, and on the reviews, it was like, oh, there's nudist, clothing optional beach. I'm like, oh, that sounds
That's it different.
that's interesting. Maybe I'll just go, maybe I'll just go take a stroll.
Yeah.
So I went up there, and it was like, I'm expecting like orgies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
sex
I mean,
stuff going
exactly.
on, people naked.
Yeah.
And I get up there, and it's like a couple ladies laying on the beach, a dude throwing a ball for his dog, another dude reading, and I'm like, oh, this is just
People are just living their life.
people just hanging out, minding their own business.
Yeah.
And so it was like that. It took me too some time, and then when I realized I liked it, it was weird because I was like, well, shit, I have to tell my wife now, like, hey, this is something that I came on to, and it's like, I don't want like you or my brothers or my wife going,
What
you're trying
the
to,
heck?
you're like trying to hook up with other people, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it some weird,
Yeah.
which it did, and this is kind of what gave me the idea to have family members on, because you hear a lot of, from the point of view from the people. Oh, I loved it, my body, I finally loved myself, and I
Yeah.
found this thing that's super cool, but you never hear, not really, the perspective from like the mom or the brothers that
Yeah.
think it's kind of weird that you want to go get naked with other people.
Exactly.
So
It's funny too because I had kind of forgotten, but when Nick, your younger brother, was 17, we went to Miami for his graduation, and this was probably like back in 2012, I think. So a long time ago. But that was one of the things that he asked, because we went to Disneyland, and then he and I just went to Miami and spent a couple days in Miami, and he said he wanted to go to I think it was topless. I don't think it was nude. I don't think they had nude beaches in Miami at that time, but it was
like
there was a
top
topless
free
beach
for women.
Yeah, it was a topless beach. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember if it was nudist. I can't remember exactly, but that was one of the things he wanted to do. And so we went. We went down and sat on the beach, and but it was cold. It was like April, so it wasn't the middle of summer or anything. And we went down and hung out. It really wasn't even swimsuit weather. It was cool, but we went and sat down, and it was funny because an older woman came and sat. It was like I was expecting all these people to be topless down there, and I kind of warned him. I said, it's not going to be like in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a bunch of really shapely girls, but anyway, I didn't know what to expect. But then an older woman came and sat down kind of beside us, and she was probably, I don't know, I wasn't that old at the time, but she was older than me, and she was topless, and it didn't fit the image that he was looking for, I don't think.
Was Grandma with you guys on that trip?
Well, she was earlier.
But she didn't.
But then
go to
she
the nude beach?
she flew home, and Nick and I went to Miami
Okay.
by ourselves.
Yeah,
And Evan flew home too. It was just Nick and I. I wouldn't have taken Evan. But
because Grandma told me about a Little Black Beach, something like that, in Hawaii, or Little Beach, maybe it was Little Beach. She told me that her and Grandpa went to Little Beach, like when you, me, Nathan, and everyone went. She was talking about it, and me and Nathan are like, "Oh God, we gotta find this Little Beach. There's naked people hanging out. We gotta find this beach."
yeah.
So yeah. It's
I
just
don't think
funny.
Grandma was naked though. I don't think they.
Dude, I could see Grandma and Grandpa.
I don't think so.
Dude, they owned a sailboat. They're probably out there sunbathing
They
all the
might
time.
have been. I never asked.
Let me get back on track. So do you think any parts of your upbringings or beliefs influenced how you felt about naturism when you found out?
Well, like you say, growing up, it wasn't the fact that whether we were naked or not. It was. You just didn't talk about it, right? My parents were never naked in front of us, but we did have a big family, and I was probably 7 or 8 when we moved to Florida, and so we were again. My sister and I, especially, we were the youngest, and so we spent probably every waking hour in bathing suits and barefoot. We loved it down there for 2 years. And so we weren't naked, but it was like we were just in very little clothing, if anything. And there was just one time when I can't remember exactly how old I was, maybe 8, and we were in the living room, and my dad lifted up my shirt and hollered at my mom that come look at Kay's breasts. They're different sizes. What's going on? And at the time, it was like it wasn't. It was. I had two brothers that were teenagers, and I don't remember if Penny wasn't there. My oldest sister wasn't there, but we were kind of just sitting in the living room, and it was kind of just shocking, for an 8-year-old to kind of just all of a sudden I felt pretty in the spotlight and uncomfortable. And I think my mom hollered back, leave her alone, it's normal. But it kind of all of a sudden I felt like there was not only my dad, but my brothers were looking at me, and there was something that they were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it was good or bad, but it was just they were looking at my body, and it was odd to me. And at the time, I didn't process it at all, other than I was horrified because it was weird, right? Mm-hmm. It was like nobody else is lifting their shirts and talking about their bodies. And so that was probably the one thing that kind of made an influence in the sense that I don't know if it shaped me or not, but it definitely made an impact in the way that I did not. Being naked was not something I wanted to do. I didn't want to be critiqued ever. It was like that experience was, I think back now, and it was like horrific. At the time it wasn't, because I wasn't not safe, but it was awkward. It was like, why are you looking at me? Why are you like talking about me, right? And that was probably the only time. And then after that, we didn't grow up in a church or in any kind of a religion, but and actually it was weird because even being in Florida, we had like older girls in the apartment building, and they would come and do like the Tahitian dances. My dad loved Tahiti. He loved the drums. He loved the whole thing. And so there was always it wasn't that being unclothed, there was anything wrong with it. I mean, we were actually celebrated it, right? And going to Hawaii, they loved the culture and the just the traditions of people, not necessarily being naked, but just you could expose your skin, right? I mean, there wasn't anything that you needed to really cover up but it wasn't, that was never a bad thing, although it did influence that part of it. And then growing up, we were never naked. I mean, my family nobody was ever naked in front of me until my mom was older and I cared for her as an older, before, when she was really, really old, then it was like, obviously you need to help your parents. But other than that, no, being naked was never something that anybody even talked about
Interesting.
But it was also, but I think also just the 60s generation, I think there was kind of a knee-jerk reaction to the old, that transition between the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. There was a lot going on, and I think that people just tended to, you kind of just stayed in your lane because the reaction with just some of the stuff that was going on was just, it wasn't worth. At least for me, I wasn't going to push any. I wasn't going to push any bounds. Yeah, I was not interested in doing that. I kind of watched that happening, and so I was not going to.
Interesting.
Push that. So that probably did have a lot of big influence on. But I don't remember that it was even. I don't remember even hearing about that about naturism back then. I'm sure there was, but.
Interesting. Yeah, we grew up in North Bend. Our house, North Bend, sits near Tiger Mountain Nudist Resort, and I remember hearing about that growing up.
Yeah.
Which it's still there today, and they do naked 5Ks every year.
Interesting. Yeah. I guess so. That was something that I just never paid attention
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Like you'd hear about it on King 5, like
Yeah.
every so often.
Yeah.
Oh, running in the nude or go to the pool nude.
That was when you guys were younger too.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
Do you feel like it changed how you see me in any way?
Yeah. Yes and no. Probably. Not really. Not. I think just you guys growing up. Now that we have like a different kind of a relationship. I mean, it's still mother and son, but you have told me about things growing up that I wasn't aware of, and I think I have just kind of been surprised at, like I was saying, the fact that the way you guys responded to things that I wasn't even clued in on. I wasn't aware that, like growing up in the church. I hadn't grown up in a church. So I kind of was pretty naive, I guess. I just wanted the stability of a kind of a. I guess growing up, I didn't have the boundaries that a church would give you, and not that I didn't have boundaries. Obviously, I mean my parents were great parents, but there wasn't a sense of like a lot of people. A lot of.
Brandy, go. My dog just jumped out. Brandy, go. Inside, Brandy. Thanks, guys. We'll be done in just a little bit. That was my kids and my dog wanting to be part of the podcast.
A family affair.
It's a family affair. So if you hear screaming in the background or whatever, that's what's going on.
So yeah, no, it didn't really change me in any way other than the fact that I didn't realize some of the impact that growing up in a church
You're talking
had.
about the purity culture and telling little boys if you masturbate, you're going to go to hell, or girls, cover your body, cover your arms and shoulders.
No, because see, I did not.
You're going to make men lust after you.
Yeah, and I actually wasn't even aware that was so much going on. I hadn't really heard that that was going on, and that's why I say
that was like high school. It wasn't like we were like little kids. That was like high school, youth group stuff.
Yeah, but no, that's why I say it's like I kind of just you kind of hope that you're giving people I don't know. I kind of, I mean, you just do what you do. But I thought that growing up in a church or in a kind of a church family in a way, I tried to pick a really neutral, not super cliquish, but more just like growing up around people that had, not that I expected you guys to be perfect, but just good people, right? I mean, I kind of always look at the world that there are good people out there, and that's kind of what I wanted to expose you guys to. But again, I didn't know that, and I've come since then to, in full disclosure, I have come to realize that religion is kind of they do lie a lot. There is a lot of non-truths in religion, and I've kind of had to do a lot of soul searching, what I believe in that. But I don't. As I say, it wasn't that I was shocked or anything. But again, it was like it's kind of, you've kind of come full circle in a way, because you have been evolving your whole life. That's kind of the way you are. You have become. You kind of started as a very young child trying to, I could tell, even because we did when we were homeschooling, you were always becoming the person that you were learning about. And you would dress like the person. You would go out and skin animals when we were doing the, Jim Bridger, and you were, when we were doing, whatchamacallit, Davy Crockett. I mean, you became the character, and you were always fascinated by what people did and how they lived and how they, I mean, you were enveloped by it. And so and then you became a biker, and you kind of got into that whole culture, and so it's not really a surprise. It wasn't really a surprise. It was a surprise of what it was, that it was naturism, but it wasn't a surprise that you were continually evolving and kind of becoming comfortable. Not that you were ever uncomfortable, but you've kind of always had this search your whole life of trying to figure out where you fit in this world and who you are, and becoming comfortable with yourself. So when I think back on it, it's like, no, I wasn't surprised, although the day you told me I was shocked. But it makes sense when I sit clearly and just, think about it calmly. It's like, no, this actually makes perfect sense. And I'm actually really proud of you, because yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. There's just, we should be changing. We should be growing. We should be evolving and trying new things. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, great. Just do something else, right? But yeah, there's nothing wrong with trying different stuff, as long as you're not being weird.
Yeah. Well, that was like my main concern when I was like, well, I have to tell my family, because my kids they're young, but they're not super young. They can talk.
Yeah.
So it's like,
they're going to talk.
Well, that's what I told Nick. I was like, I need to tell you this because they can talk. And they do bring it up.
Yeah.
Like, nudity in our house is not a thing. Like, all of us are basically naked.
Run around naked.
Yeah. Our kids are naked all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, in their minds, it is not unnormal
right.
for mommy and daddy to be walking around naked, cooking, cleaning, sunning out here in the back area. But to someone that does not partake in that kind of lifestyle,
it sounds
there's adults with
strange.
naked kids.
Yeah.
There's
Alert.
kids around naked adults. And like, that was my main concern. I was like, as a 30-something-year-old man coming into this, I was like, okay, well, it needs to serve a purpose, which it did.
Mm-hmm.
It has made me feel more in touch with myself, more authentic, makes me want to be more truthful, honest. My wife and I have a better relationship now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I had to make sure it was something safe for my family.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to go do something that is not safe or good for my kids or wife.
Right.
So it checked all the boxes, but then I was like, well, how do you tell I didn't know how you were, I was like, oh, this could go like, what? You know what I mean? Like, with the kids! So that's what I was worried about.
Mm-hmm.
And, did we talk about that at all? I guess there's like a little bit of talk.
There was a little bit of talk, and I think you said it when you first told me about it. I think you said it was about the way that you wanted to raise your kids, and I totally get that, because I agree. I think kids are. I think that's why we homeschool, because I can't stand the programming that goes on at a very early age with kids and what. Again, it's like, I can't imagine that you would ever tell your kid that there's something wrong with them, or that they look funny. To me, that just seems so bizarre. Mm-hmm. And I think growing up, I always told you guys that there is no normal. We're all different, and we don't try to compare ourselves, right? It's like, that's just kind of basic parenting.
We're good the way we are.
Yeah. And so it kind of just, but then now that I've become kind of more aware of it, and I see that that there is a hole there, that we actually need to be a little bit more intentional and specific when it comes to kids, that we need to be paying a little bit more attention. That definitely I did. I wasn't paying attention. But so I think in that regard, I was horrified at first, and then it was like, the more we talked about it, it was like, oh, this isn't what I think it is. Mm-hmm. This is like just being people. You're just being people, right? You're just being, and you're not trying to, it's not an indoctrination. It's not a cult. It's just let people grow up and see,
real life.
Real life, yeah.
Bodies.
Real, and that's why I say it's like, I think that right there it says a lot. It just, Why wouldn't you let your kids be exposed to? And then you told me that there were naturist camps that had family outings, and I thought, wow, that's, and again, it's like it doesn't really matter if it's something I'm comfortable with or not. It's like if you guys are good with it, then it isn't weird. Then it should you should do it, and it should be fine, right? I mean, it's like you don't have to convince anybody or protect us from it, because it's like there's nothing going on, right? it's just
Yep.
it's just a decision that works for your family, and that's kind of always what should matter first, regardless of what anybody else says or thinks. Or
I
yeah.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. It's about, I want the kids to not have body issues.
No.
I want them to be able to have an honest look at their bodies and have an honest look at like other people's bodies. And that was something for even me as an adult man, seeing other men naked. It was a shock at first, but then I literally have the same body parts.
Yeah.
They look similar, the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All women have breasts and vaginas. All
Yeah.
men have penises. Why is that? I've seen your belly button
Yeah.
and your elbows.
Yeah.
It's just skin.
I know, and that's
It's just skin. It's part of us.
yeah. But there is something about becoming naked, and I mean, even like if I take my shirt off at home, like they always say, the podcasts always say that they say, if you're not sure, just walk around your house in the safety of your home, undressed. And again, it's like there's just something that is, you're really vulnerable. Even in your home with the doors closed and the shades pulled, there's something that has been ingrained in us, and I don't know when or where, but there is something that is very deep inside of me that just it's a vulnerable place where it's just really hard to get past that, regardless of, I mean, that's why I say that's just the part that you just have to, and that's where, yeah, if your kids cannot do that, if they can grow up without that and just be safe in themselves anywhere, I mean, my gosh, that's a gift that that's worth doing just right there, right? And not having the body images that, especially women, I mean, my gosh.
Well, yeah, I have friends, and I have family members and friends, men and women, who both have voiced, I could never do that. I hate the way that I look.
Yeah,
I hate the way
so
this body part
sad.
looks.
Yeah.
I don't think I measure up. And it's like, my God, you're beautiful. You're perfect the way you are.
I know. It's just weird.
I was talking to Olivia once about naturism, nudism, and I was likening it to if you put all the special effects from naturism, all the positives, in a pill form. If you could take this pill and not have body issues, love yourself, just accept yourself, be happy with who you are, and change your mentality and the way you relate with your body and the way you relate with other people's bodies. Would you do it? Oh, of course. People would be popping that all the time.
Yeah.
But it takes the step of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
Stepping
go
over
to
that.
a nude beach, or I'm going to go to a clothing optional resort.
Mm-hmm.
To do that, because it's the nudity that's confronting.
Right.
And shocks people.
Right. Well, and I think like the ones that I've listened to that you've sent me the podcast, that's what they say. They say, I'm going to be nude and you're going to look at me. And then they get there and they go, well, nobody's looking at me. And I think that's the part that it's always somebody's looking at me or somebody's judging me. And it's like the reality is nobody's even thinking about me, and I think that's what we have to just kind of realize, that we're all thinking about ourselves. We're not thinking about somebody else. But it is, it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Has it inspired you, or has it affected you in such a way that these conversations have had you thinking differently about your own relationship with your body?
Absolutely, yeah. Not that like I say, I never had body shaming issues, or I think I've never thought about it. I've never thought about being nude in front, just as an option, I guess. Just growing up in the society, being almost 70 years old, it was never put out there, right? Or I guess it wasn't that it wasn't put out there. It just never seemed like an option, or it never seemed like something that was important. But the more I kind of listen to people, it's like it's very important. There are a lot of people out there that just need to realize that, yeah, they're fine. They don't have to do anything. They are just fine the way they are. And I think that's probably just changing. I think the world is changing in that way too. That people are just becoming, they're just tired of all the rules, all the boundaries, and and they're just saying, forget it. I'm tired of walking in the mold that you think I'm supposed to be walking in, which is really nice to see.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think that's part of it, too, is just everybody's, and there's always going to be some holdouts. There's always going to be some people that are, oh, it's just a phase, or it's just, it's weird, or it's sex, or
it's
whatever.
A fetish.
Yeah, I mean, but that's anywhere, so.
Yep.
But no, I love it. I love listening to people talk about it and how that changes the way they live and how they feel, and they're happy. They're happier.
Yep. What positive changes have you noticed in me since I became open about being a naturist?
Probably just that you've kind of just become better at just not caring what people, that you're just going to be happy, and you're kind of that what I just said, that you just you kind of let go a lot of limitations that people put on you, and actually not even that people put on you, that you put on yourself. You've just put limits on yourself and just kind of talked yourself into, I need to do this, I need to kind of just the upbringing that we need to fit in, and we need to kind of do ABC to get down here, and we kind of just the whole lie that everybody tells you that you have to do this to fit into society, and it's like, no, actually I don't. And I think that's probably the positive, that you're just happy. You're just happy. You can go do your thing, and it doesn't really matter. I guess, like you say, you wanted to tell us, and you wanted us to, to not be freaked out about it. But I think that's kind of the main thing, is that when people see that you're just being yourself, then there's really no reason to be freaked out about it. It's just, it's something you want to do, and you've never pushed it on anybody, or, so except Nick, maybe, or
Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. And they're pushing back.
I love you, Jamie. Jamie's my younger brother. Thinks I'm very strange.
He thinks you're very strange.
I haven't pushed it on him, but I do bring it up. I'm like, hey, man, you should come with me.
Yeah, he thinks you're very odd.
What would you say to like another parent or family member, friend, whose child or friend tells them that they're a naturist?
What would I tell the family member?
Yeah, so like if another mom was listening to this podcast and her son just told her, or her daughter just told her, I think I enjoy being naked or socially naked.
I would just say, take a deep breath and realize that there's absolutely nothing weird about it. That it's just, it's just another, I don't know, what do we call them? Mores, rules, standards. That I guess what I had to do was I had to just sit down and ask myself, why? Why am I shocked? Why do I have a knee-jerk reaction opposed to it? I think that's what I would tell the parent, is just be honest with yourself and just find out. If you do react negatively, just ask yourself why. Where did that come from? Because that's what I had to do. Mm-hmm. I could not figure out why I was not even opposed to it, but just reacted to it. Why did I react the way I did? Why did I feel a visceral something in my body that was just deep inside me that was revolting, right? It was just it was rebelling, and I didn't know why. And I think that's what I would just tell anybody. Just kind of give it time and find out where you were told that being naked was not an okay thing, and that when you do that, all of a sudden you realize that it was somebody told you something. Some other person has told you or or made you feel unsafe or made you feel, because it's we shouldn't. As if you look at a child doesn't feel ashamed. A child can run around naked at 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and they are just perfectly content. And it isn't until somebody, another person, tells them that there's something to hide. And that's where I think we just have to be honest and just figure out where we were told, when was it that we were told that? Because we've all been told that. There's a reason we all walk around dressed.
Who told you you were naked?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yep.
who told you that that wasn't okay anymore? At
Mm-hmm.
what age did you all of a sudden become aware that something's different and you can't just be yourself anymore? And I think that's what I would tell anybody. Not that your feelings are wrong, but just that they come from somewhere, and it's probably not from yourself. It was probably somewhere along the road that somebody told you, and you need to figure out why that is, and just kind of work through it. Not that you're going to change your mind or anything, but just kind of be honest and just figure out why you have the reaction you do.
Do you think the way that I told you was an appropriate way, or would there have been a better? Would there be a better way to present this to your family members?
I don't think so. I think just being honest, and again, you weren't being weird.
Yeah, I was
You
trying
know.
not to make it weird. I
No,
was
you
just,
weren't being.
bringing it up.
I mean, you weren't being weird in any way, and that's why I say it's like just when somebody doesn't know something. I mean, you can kind of talk till you're blue in the face, but when all of a sudden somebody says, "I'm going to go on a hike," naked, it doesn't matter how much you talk. It just people you're telling are going to react. They're either going to react great or they're going to react, I want to go with you, or they're going to be horrified. And it's. I think if you're just honest. And like you just said, this is something that I want my kids to, and I don't want to body shame people. I don't want. I mean, if it's a positive reason you're doing it, people shouldn't be opposed to it, right?
Yeah, that's
Whether
true.
you agree with it or not, there should not be somebody telling you, well, that's you shouldn't be doing that, because it's none of my business what you should be doing. You're an adult, right? So no, I don't think. I think just saying it like you did, just telling me and I think the thing that I was worried most about wasn't you. It was Olivia. I think I was kind of going, well, what's Olivia think about all this?
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably what I was more concerned about, because you're like I say, you've always tried different things and come back okay.
What were you concerned about? Olivia's my wife. What were you concerned about Olivia for?
I think just because of my reaction as a female, as a woman. If my husband had come to me and said, "Let's go to a nudist camp and strip," I would have been like mortified. Because my husband would do it. He used to go on when they would go flying with his brother and sister-in-law and meet people out in the middle of the boonies when they were, had their airplanes. They would go and all strip and sit in hot springs. And I mean, he has no qualms. I wouldn't do that. I would not.
So what you're saying is we can all go vacation together at a resort sometime.
Yeah. And so I think I was just concerned that Olivia would have that kind of. I just wanted her to be safe. I didn't want her, again, it's like I think it's just a mother thing, and it's just a female. I think women are just, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel vulnerable in the world, but stripping makes me feel vulnerable, and I don't know why that is. And I just didn't want her to, I wanted her to be safe in the whole conversation and the whole, I didn't want you to make her do it.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, no.
So,
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners who might be on their own journey, either in naturism or as people trying to understand someone choosing this lifestyle? We kind of just talked about that, though.
yeah, I don't think so. I think what you're doing is really helpful. I think people just there just needs to be more avenues of discussion and kind of just getting to understand what it is. I mean, that's the main thing. Because I had never heard I mean, I'd heard of nudism, but I'd never really knew that there was, other than, like you say, the one in Fall City, but partly just I'd never had inquired about it. So all of a sudden it's like it's a topic that people are talking about. And now that you're sending me podcasts and showing me that people are out doing it, it's like, oh, it's a thing, right? I mean, this is it's a movement. Yeah. I mean, this is really mainstream. But unless you're looking for it, it's not mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been showing me, naked yoga, and I mean, I had never in my wildest dreams knew that this stuff was out there, right? I mean, that's what I say. So it's mainstream, but it's not unless you're kind of looking for it. So just, yeah, I think the more that people talk about it and just families talk about it, and that's just going to really be helpful. It's going to just to get it out there and have normal people talking about it, and then it's going to just be fine. People will start realizing that it's not weird. There's nothing weird about it.
Absolutely.
So, no, I think it's great that you're doing this.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you, Mom, for coming on the podcast and sharing your perspective. I think it's a very helpful perspective to have as a family member of someone who is a naturist. And yeah, I just really appreciate you taking the time to come and do the podcast. My kids are here messing with the wires.
You bet. It was fun. It was nice to chat. We'll do it again.
All right.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's going to wrap up today's episode. A big thank you to my mom for sitting down and having that conversation with me. It honestly means a lot. And I know for some people, talking about naturism or nudity with the family can be a little bit awkward. When I first started sharing it openly with my family, they definitely needed a little time. I hope this episode helps open some doors for more understanding and honest conversations. And remember, when you share something like this with your spouse or family member, you might get some negative reactions or pushback. And that's really understandable. The world and society that we live and operate in has told us for a very long time that nudity is not okay. So don't get down or resentful if someone you love doesn't understand what you're doing right away. Give them time to process, let them see you as the example for what non-sexual nudity really is. Let them see the benefits and your own personal growth through this journey. Next time, I'll be sitting down with my wife again to recap our recent visit to Shangri-La Ranch and what it was like to run the Bear Buns 5K completely naked. It was so much fun, and you won't want to miss it. As always, thank you for listening and for keeping an open mind. Until next time, get naked, be free, and be kind. See ya!